to find somebody to put in here and make them the audience so you can get your together.
For real though, we like, okay, to get started.
Please, can you hop on the Zoom?
We're just gonna do it like we live. Because typically, okay, we hop on and we be like, hey everybody, how is everybody doing? I see y'all coming in. Welcome to Changing the Narrative, where we have real conversations and offer tangible solutions that transform our mindset and our lifestyle. So if you haven't been here before and you don't know myself, me, my name is Chastity with a Spoon. I am a mompreneur of two. I own two businesses at this time. One is in coaching and development, and the other one has to do with our beauty products. So that's just a little bit about me. But I also have the most lovely person in the world who I love, who always helps me out in this world called business and life, Miss Adrienne Billups. Adrienne, go ahead and give you a little intro.
Hi, guys. Hi. Thank you for having me. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Adrienne Billups. As she said, we're both motherpreneurs. And I am a personal life coach, and I have a concentration in confidence. So, if you're questioning yourself and you struggle with believing in yourself, you know who to look for.
Yes. She's definitely how over here. That's a whole nother conversation. So for Changing the Narrative, we actually have a special series for you guys, and we're super, super excited to bring this to you because it goes deep. Let's just put it that way. It hits home probably for a lot of us. Just to let you guys know, trigger warning is the best way I can put this out there. This is my first time actually diving deep into this type of subject, but it does have to do with domestic violence. So we are currently have a series all put together. It's four episodes, and it's about surviving the beast. So our series is called Survivors of the Beast of DV. So if you've been a survivor, if you have went through the trenches and your beast was beasting out there, yeah, we talking about it, all about it. But we're going to give it to you guys light, and then, we're going to go a little deep, and then we're going to end it in a beautiful way as it should be ended. So if you're suffering with this, if you've been going through something in this particular realm, just listen, be with us. We are with you. Big, big, big hugs, because it's hard. It's hard out here. Not just for the pimp, like it's hard out here. Y'all gonna hear a lot of humor. That's how I get through things, cope through things and everything like that. But I'm so serious with y'all, okay? So I know this topic is just very, very strong, very deep, and it's heavy. So we try to keep it light over here when we talk about changing the narrative, because it's not easy. It's not easy at all. So
Right. Yes, I love it. I love it. So, she did give y'all a trigger warning. And if it's something you're not ready to hear about or even go within yourself to consider, then that's okay. You can come back and revisit at another time. We're always happy to have you here on this platform. And for those who are ready and want to see what we have to offer, please stay tuned. Okay. We are glad to have you as well. So, with that, this episode will be talking solely about what abuse is and what it looks like, so that people can have an understanding that it looks different for everybody. And so it comes in many different forms. And so abuse, by definition, is either using something for a bad purpose, also known as misuse, or cruel and violent treatment to a person or animal, which is also known as mishandling. And so I'm sure we can either recall a time, either ourselves or someone we know has either been misused or mishandled, or both.
right.
So, with that and how broad abuse is, whether it's mental, physical, verbal, anything like that, it's very broad and it's different for everybody. Everybody doesn't have the same experience, but we've all experienced something. So, I kind of gave a little background as to what or how broad abuse is. But for you, because I think there's such a simple connotation for what abuse looks like. What does abuse mean to you? Because people may only think of like just aggression or things like that when they think of abuse, not the other forms that are actually there as well.
Right. So in my experience, just to kind of give you guys a brief background, I currently just went through a situation dealing with domestic violence. Unfortunately, it lasted way too long than it needed to, but it's about 4 years and 11 months. And unfortunately, I hate to say this out loud, but it needs to be said. 10 years ago, I dealt with something similar as well. I was married at the time, and this situation had to do with a boyfriend. So, as much as abuse looked one way for me, the physical aspect of it, I really didn't hone in on the mental abuse, the emotional abuse, the spiritual abuse, the financial abuse. I mean, there's so many different forms of abuse. It's kind of sad that there's so many forms of it. Let's put it that way, because abuse, people look at it just overall like, oh, it's just either being just physical. Words don't matter, you're not bothering my spirit, like you're fine. But it's so many different forms in how powerful that word is. Like you said, mishandling someone, not paying attention to their needs, not hearing them and neglecting them, because you have to listen and hear them to be able to do the physical and the actionable steps to show them that, okay, I'm not going to abuse you. So the mistreatment that people can take it very, very far. It's beyond tangible. But again, everybody has a different definition when it comes to abuse. And I think that's where people have a hard time healing, because people just think it's a one category type of situation. And you got to chop that thing up. There is not one category, nothing.
Yeah. Excuse me, guys. Trying to get an over cold here. So with that, and again, because our brains associate things in order to remember other things, when they hear the word abuse, the connotation is aggression or physicality. But again, like we said, it's so broad. And with you just sharing and being transparent, thank you for that you have experienced. Yeah. Excuse me, guys. Trying to get an over cold here. So with that, and again, because our brains associate things in order to remember other things, when they hear the word abuse, the connotation is aggression or physicality. But again, like we said, it's so broad. And with you just sharing and being transparent, thank you for that you have experienced different forms of it. You know, some people may, I guess, put the experiences on a scale of like least magnitude to like a higher magnitude. Um, with you, it sounds like you've experienced a little bit on both ends of the spectrum. Would you say that?
Yes. And it's kind of crazy because you don't realize it when you're going through it until you really sit down and you're going to journal it. You're going to write it down. Then you're like, oh, wow, that was two different feels, two different situations that just clashed into one. It's not a fun place to be, I tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely can see, and I think because of that connotation is there, like you said, it makes it hard to recognize that you're being misused or mishandled in other ways. And so with hindsight, because everything gives us hindsight, and you're like, oh, I can see clearer now, so that 2020 is
Right.
really, really something. And like
Oh
you said,
yeah.
with the journaling and doing the introspection, was that helpful? What did that help you see or take away from it?
A lot of self-awareness, a lot of like in the recent situation, it really showed how much a person can take advantage of you if you don't have a handle on your mental capacity. If you're not having a handle on certain things on your life and you kind of just keep letting it flow, keep just letting it do its thing. Some of us are like, oh, it's gonna eventually pan out. It's like nothing eventually gonna pan out unless you actually put the proper action behind it. So
Okay.
it was a lot of reflecting, like, how did I get here? What happened in between that I got here?
Mm,
Because I mean, as much as people are like, you're so intelligent, you're this, all the good things. And it's like, yeah, but we all have our faults. We all have our vices. And I'm the type of person I like to figure out, well, now, like I know, let me take that back. It's always been that way. Why am I doing this? What is the intent? But when I was younger and asked those questions, it was like forbidden. So I feel like that part of me just kind of fell off until I got older and I was like, why do I do this? This doesn't make sense. Because this is not just stemming from this recent situation. This was built somewhere inside of me that I thought it was okay.
mm,
And I feel like when you mix okay with believing in people, because you can only go as far as somebody tells you. You don't control their world, you don't control their universe, so you gotta trust that they're doing what they're supposed to do, but it ain't always like that.
yeah, and I think as the genuine person that you are, and I would consider myself to be, um, a lot of people love it and some people hate it. And so they find a way to tarnish it, and to, in so many words, dim our light because they don't have it themselves and they don't want anybody else to have it as well.
No. Yeah. You gotta
So,
be careful. It's just it when you look at it, because most people have childhood trauma. I circled it all the way back down to that. Like, what am I missing here? And when we talked about what type of, like, what does abuse mean? I mean, I realized what a narcissist was. And I love reading my books. Give me a book. I'm learning something that I don't need to have in my. Oh, okay, let me pay attention, because if we don't, I mean, I hate to bring religion into this, but at the same time, it's the best I got right now. Okay. It's like growing up, the devil, the devil, the devil, the devil, the devil, right? Well, ain't we supposed to research a little bit of how he moves so we don't get caught up in his bullshit? But it's like forbidden. But it's like, well, how are we going to be able to have our shield? Because God said there's enemies in the Bible. Like, it's one of those where you gotta either go through it or be presented it to you before you're like, oh, that's that type of abuse. Like, some people mentally don't get out of it, emotionally don't detach from that narcissism. It really makes you like self-awareness, like look at you, like what is it all the way around that they felt comfortable. But I mean, with the narcissist, they love empaths.
right.
Right here, buddy. Like, so with the empath, we have a different shield, where I've even learned with empaths, they talk about them in a sense where, like, we do not know how to control our feelings, we do not know how to decipher certain things. And it's like, when you read things like that, you're like, okay, well, let me do the opposite if that's what you think of empaths. Because if anything, we struggle on trying to control where is this going, because I can't absorb all of it. It's going to take me out. It's going to take me out. Like the energy be too strong when it comes to that world. And it's because a lot of people are not empathetic. So when they find them, they're like, oh, let me hold on to this. Girl, it's like finding candy. Like,
Yeah.
You are the
Especially
prize.
people who want to justify their own intentions. They want to find somebody they're looking for sympathy.
Oh, 1 second, y'all. 1 second.
So like what you were saying about narcissists or, people who have bad intentions, especially with empaths, they have their own traumas that they have not addressed and dealt with. And so they use the empath and they prey on the empath as justification because they want that sympathy for their past experiences instead of taking that understanding of that person and evolving and healing and going through the process just as so many other people have to come out better on the other side.
Exactly.
Sorry guys, I'm gonna try not to do that. Cough drops are not working. Just say a prayer for your sister. Okay.
That part.
So with that, excuse me. And because abuse is so broad and it comes in so many forms that people are not aware of, do you think that this can influence the way people respond to survivors of abuse, or maybe even if they believe their story or not, when people even have the guts to be transparent and share that they have had this harsh and unbearable experience?
100%. Unfortunately, on the outside looking in from my experience, people really have a different perspective. And it's kind of crazy. Like I'll give you an example. As when we were kids, we'll lie about the most stupidest shit. We would lie about the most dumbest thing. It'll be like, oh, I got away with it. You ain't get away with nothing. Now being a parent, oh, you ain't get away with nothing. Okay. Being an adult and folks be lying or folks think you lying, and it's very interesting and it's hilarious because it's like, we grown. What is we lying about? Well, people think that because, Adrian, you've seen my social media, all the pictures, we look good, I thought he was the one. And who gonna take the picture where they crying? Who doing that? Who gonna take the picture where, you did get punched in the face at that moment and you just want to take the picture? Like, I love it, but I hate it all at the same time because it's like, come on, y'all. One of most comedians that have passed away, they use their laughter as a coping mechanism. So it's like sometimes, just because they look good or just because the person's strong, it's like, doesn't mean you don't check on them. Doesn't mean you don't mentally do a check-in with them, see how they doing. Because when you tell your truth, you got people looking at you on one side of the boat where it's like, she knew better. She knew better. Especially in my field. One of my fields of helping with the lifestyle transition and personal development and whatnot. And the thing about it, I didn't say much when all this was going on because I was like, I'll say it when I need to. When it comes to personal development, there's many parts of you that's developing. So to hone in on one all the time and be consistent and forget the rest, kind of setting yourself up for failure. So when you get that whole she knew better, but she chose to stay there and everything like that, to my survivors, don't take it personally. I know it's hard. I know it's hard because I had to swallow some of my closest people saying some shenanigans. And I just was like, you know what? They're not in my situation. I ain't crazy. Yes, I knew some parts, but I was very forgiving in other parts. I grew up in a different type of lifestyle. We forgive, I mean, we can integrate it with church, we forgive, give grace. The grace was pulling and hurting and all that. And that's when you have to really understand the word. It's not meant to do that. It's not meant to take you down and me down. That's not what grace is about. Not at all.
Right.
So as much as you want to help a person, at the end of the day, you got to help yourself. You got to make sure you good to go. So it gets very hard when you hear people have an opinion, have a judgment, got something to say. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And it ain't helpful. It ain't growth. It ain't a prayer. I love when people ask the word, they say they're going to pray for me. I'm like, please pray good things because you can't pray other things. And we got to remember there's two different listening. It's two different areas of life that's listening.
Yeah.
So we got to be mindful of what we say and how we say it, but don't ever I will say this, don't let them discourage you still speaking your truth, because your truth is your truth. And it doesn't matter what the aesthetics look like, and take it from somebody that looks at aesthetics. It doesn't matter in that era, because it's all going to be beautiful. It's all going to be beautiful, even the ugliest shit. But I don't know if it's just the world, the desensitizing of just how to feel the compassion, all that, not playing victim, because that's what you'll get is when you ask for like compassion and like give me some space or some boundaries, it's like, oh, you playing victim. And it's like, no, nobody's playing victim. It's just y'all wanted me to have standards. I have standards now. Y'all wanted to ask me, how can I show proof? Well, this is the criteria now. And you cannot be unapologetic of it. You got to be unapologetic about it. You really do. Like, they wasn't thinking about your feelings when they was doing what they was doing. So take it how you want, tit for tat, petty. I don't think it's that, because I've gotten that. I think it's just understand my worth. It got haggled, it got abused, it got thrown around, it got diminished, it almost disappeared all the way. So I think when people come with that type of like, she should have known better, or just a commentary, it's like, give her or him some space to heal. We all can geek, we laugh about it later, but right then and there, let them speak their truth. Ask questions, don't assume.
I like that.
That assumption. Whoo. Add fuel to the fire. Don't do that. Like them assumptions go very far. I mean, even with the financial abuse, when a mother of two, a father of two, a person trying to rebuild, just because you see that they hit one of their goals, remember all that was going on, that there's still other goals that's not being accomplished financially. It's still an uphill battle, no matter how good you are managing money, how good you are a teacher. For my professionals out there that are going through what they're going through when it comes to money, and you slip and fall somewhere when it comes to money, don't think you don't know your shit now. You know it. Now you know a new adjustment. Now you know a new tangible tool that you're going to learn in this experience to give to the rest of the people. That's all it is. Because my God, I asked God how many times, I said, why am I going through why you got me in the streets in a bad way? Like, we are not having fun out here. Like, where are the things? Like, whew. It was like, you gotta learn a little something more. You gotta learn a little, you gotta uncondition yourself to this type of behavior. So your cage had to be rattled a different way that even you was like, wow, you got me out here with the kids. Like, what I do? I didn't do all the things that was asked of me. That's what I didn't do. Didn't understand the word more, you know, just understanding. And when you learn, it's for y'all that don't know, that last year and a half or a year and 11 months, however you want to call it, I became so cutthroat after my grandmother passed away. I was like, who are you talking to? What's going on? It's like I woke up from a coma. I was like, this ain't right. He always got me feeling like that. I feel like dirt. I don't feel like I'm worthy of, like, but this somebody that loved me. And it's the craziest thing I feel like when it comes to any type of domestic violence, that love that we are taught to, yes, have boundaries, but love really ain't got no boundaries. I used to beat myself up like, why can't I have these certain boundaries that I be telling myself? Like, why I always slip out the door like I don't give a damn about myself when I do give a damn about myself? Like, but it's no lie when they say it's strong and it's different types of love. I got over one of the biggest heartbreaks. It was one of my many divorces. And, you know, I thought I could never love again. And then when I did love again, well, look what happened. It's ugly. Oh, it's so ugly. So it's trusting that, because I feel like with love, you're supposed to trust with all of you, not a piece or a quarter or I'm still watching you. It's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be, I can fall back and you got me. But I still can prove wrong in the intimate relationships and the friendships and the family members. But now, whatever woman walked into that situation is not the same woman that walked out.
Wow.
You can't be. There's no way. Like, the boundaries and everything that's coming for you, all the good that you've been wanting, and it's right there. But it's coming now because you left that other gate alone. That everybody mad at you now because you got boundaries. Because you got stipulations. Because you got
you won't
access
allow
code.
yourself to be
Like,
mishandled.
They don't like there's passwords on every lock now, and you just what it is. Like,
Access denied. Privileges revoked.
exactly.
Like, you change the lock. Yep. And you don't have it.
That's a whole sound right there. Change the locks. Like, goodbye.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask is social media, because it's so prevalent and people share everything, and people feel like they have to upkeep and maintain, as the word you said, a certain aesthetic. Can that slow down? How can I say this?
Getting out.
I guess that would be, yeah, or even sharing what
Oh
they're
yeah.
experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
or
It
prolong
hinders a
their
lot.
stay. Okay.
Yes. I feel like And that, again, this is just my opinion. It definitely does, because I mean, even us putting this episode together, I was like, okay, let me remember how I came into my own space. I had to have my accountability buddy, Miss Adrian, like, hey, what's wrong with you? Girl, shake it off. Stop it. Like, we not going to a conference. Like, you right. You know, this is where we have this conversation about what needs to be talked about out there. So when everybody has this certain light of you, it is so hard to spill all the tea, because they think you already spilled the tea. They're like, oh, she already got her business out there, always talking about. When it's like, no, the people that play on media eventually learn how to give you this exactly what you need. You don't need the whole shebang. You don't need to know where I was in that very moment. You can know 2 days later. I'm in the bed sleep, but you think I'm over there. I'm not over there. But I'm not. We've learned, but to be, I mean, I keep it honest with y'all all the time, but it hinders a lot. When you start speaking your truth, there's a lot of love, but there's also a lot of hate. There's a lot of people questioning you and your business, depending on what you do and how you do it. You as a person, overall, like, I thought I knew her type of thing, you know, because everybody think they know who they following. You know, it can hinder business. It can take a piece of you if you allow it.
Okay.
And I think for me, I got to a cap where I was like, I don't give a damn. If I'm still the same little girl that said, I want to have a domestic violence program, shelter, the whole 9 yards, then why am I so hesitant to just open this door? Now, of course, you know, in between there's legalities and all these other things that go on that we can't speak on, but ain't nothing wrong to just put the message out there to get out. Because to be honest with you, the craziest thing is I had to watch a couple videos on there to really understand what a narcissist was and how to get out, and just someone else saying it. I felt like I needed to do the same. I needed to pay it forward, where it's like, okay, y'all either idolize me or see me as this idea, but behind the doors, it's ugly.
So the idea of perfection and wanting
Oh,
to,
yeah. Perfection at its fine. I mean, you see media, so much Photoshop. Jesus. And then, you know, you got everybody, but it gets to a point where, yes, you're being vulnerable. Yes, it's scary, but you just get to a fuck it. Like, flip the table, like throw it out the window. Like, you just be like, hey, you know what? Forget it. Because being a person that has researched social media and help people build their social media platforms, and, you know, all the designs and knowing what to say, how to say it, you really see so much shit that you're like, why are you second guessing your own shit? Why you even care so much? It's you that care so, besides your biggest hater, you know.
yeah.
But, you know, is why? When you got Dick, Tom, and Larry looking foolish, speaking about nothing, and this is the influence that the children are hearing.
Right.
Where you actually can put maybe some value out there, maybe some growth, maybe something more tangible that they can actually use to get out of every situation, whatever situation that they're in. And in our situation with my kids, I mean, and here's the thing, I have teenagers. So for my mamas and my pappies that got teenage kids, fuck it.
I'm
Because
still in the elementary stage. I don't have teenagers.
look, even elementary, they got it, but it's like, yeah, somebody in the school might see the TikTok, they might see so what? You trying to get out, you need help, put your whole ego, your whole pride in a little ball and throw it in the trash can, because it's just trash for the rest of the community that's not trying to root for you to get out. That's all it is. Because here's the thing, everybody has known myself as the strong one. She got it, she'll get up, she good. And it's not, first of all, I just got here and being a mother and an entrepreneur at that, and a business owner at that. I don't care how long I've been in the game. Everybody need the village. Everybody need the people. Everybody need somebody.
Yeah.
It's not about being victimhood and we love the hood. It's not even about, it's about we're trying to survive. And if all you hear is victim, well, sweetheart, we are. At one point, to be a survivor, you have to be a victim. So it's kind of crazy when people try to use that as like teasing or bullying, like, oh, you playing, like, I am. And I had to accept that word, which was crazy, Adrian. I had to really accept, like, why are they making me feel like I'm wrong for being a victim when I am? I'm on the other side. I'm behind the fist.
Feel like the victim gets the brunt of the scrutiny over the abuser. Or is that a psychological game?
It's a game. It's a game. It's definitely a game for the person that's dishing out the abuse, for sure. It's a game. But the brunt of it, I really feel like the victim gets shit.